Hello and welcome today to our short video conversation here. I'm Marion Kraske, Director of the Heinrich-Böll office in Sarajevo, covering Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania and North Macedonia. Our guest today is Xhabir Deralla, President of the non-governmental organization Civil from North Macedonia, a very appreciated partner of our foundation for a couple of years, an organization dealing with issues of democratization, of EU integration, and last but not least, monitoring the elections. Very important tasks. Xhabir, hello, great to have you here today. As one of our first guests for this new digital format in this ongoing corona crisis that is heavily affecting again the Balkan region. Since your organization, Civil, was monitoring the recent elections held in July, my first question would be related to that. What is your evaluation of the election process and what were the main findings?
Well, very briefly, the early parliamentarian elections in North Macedonia were delicate, of course, because of many reasons, but also successful, democratic, free, and safe, predominantly safe in terms of coronavirus protection. Civil had deployed 314 mobile accredited observers, and we had 22 members of a team of researchers and really highly experienced top experts in these matters that analyzed the whole process. We can say that our observers from the field on the election day have submitted 250 reports on rather minor irregularities of the elections process, of the election day. But still, if we speak about the election process in general, I have to share our opinion, our analysis that the elections were marked with incredibly aggressive hate campaign by the nationalist structures in the country. Not only targeting political opponents, but also targeting civil society activists, journalists, experts, academia, and so on. So that would be in short.
The coalition of Social Democrats and the nationalistic got nearly the same number of seats in the parliament. And now you have a new government that was established by Social Democrats and DUI, the Albanian party. So Zoran Zaev, as a prime minister, goes for a second term. What does this mean for the path of EU integration for your country?
That's a good question. Of course, the balance in the parliament is providing quite weak opportunities for the government, for the current government, to go on with the EU agenda. But in the same time, this means that North Macedonia remains on the path of the EU integrations. This means that this is the only political option for North Macedonia to remain pro-European, to remain a country that wants to become part of the democratic European family. This is not the case with the other political parties that are in the parliament, meaning the other political parties that have capacity to eventually run the country. To the contrary, and unfortunately for North Macedonia, the only option that really pushes North Macedonia towards the EU membership is the current one, which is a lucky fact, I believe.
You described this electoral campaign as a campaign of hate, of utmost brutality, of constant verbal attacks. Why now, some month after North Macedonia became full member of the NATO? Why is the political climate so poisoned right now, so confrontative?
Well, this actually is an ongoing, continuous campaign from the beginning of the political crisis in the Republic of North Macedonia in 2015 with the world famous wiretapping scandal, when we discovered that over 26,000 people were wiretapped by the previous regime of VMR Deplomané. of Gruevski. Then it continued all the way through 2016 and the elections, the early elections, when the government of Gruevski has lost power, but not given it peacefully, because if you remember, again, world famous, we became with the 2017 April attack, an attempt for a murder, for killing opposition leaders and MPs in April 2017, an attack on the parliament. It was quite a bloody event, but luckily we came out without fatal victims. Still, the democracy was very seriously struck by then. This is all, as we can see in the proceedings, in the court proceedings and the investigations, and of course of the research and investigation of the journalists and other and CSOs, investigative CSOs, we see that there are clear indications that the organizer, or at least an instigator, and inspiring force, was actually the VMRO Defamane, the now opposition, and that alone, and of course of the former puppet president, as we call him, Ivanov. So these two forces were driving this quite serious manifestation of political violence. This alone is a lot to defend. And when you need to defend something like that, you need to pour even more hate, even more fake news, even more relativization, and so on. Furthermore, the reason for this, the culmination, or for this rise of the hate speech and the dark propaganda in the country, is the 2018 referendum. Previously, the signing of the Prespa agreement to end the 3 decades long Greek Macedonian name dispute, and then the referendum. It was a tremendous campaign. It was tremendously poisonous campaign that was going on in that period of time. And then finally, the NATO accession, the full NATO membership, also triggered a lot of the hate, a lot of campaigning against the NATO membership, against the European Union integration, because these memberships, these openings of the country would mean more democracy, but also more a rule of law. And when there is more rule of law, then those responsible for crimes in the past have to be taken responsible for what they have committed, or what they have done. So this is, of course, quite a motivation to mobilize a lot of forces, organized forces, to try to relativize the achievements, to make a situation in which we can see, like, they're all of the same, and so on. So this is quite an important tool for those that defend their positions of power, of the previous power, to really go on with this kind of campaign. Of course, they're all, regardless of the declarations, they're quite anti-Western, they're quite pro-Russian, and of course they're trying to defend their positions by this kind of activities.
You're mentioning these forces, these anti-EU forces. What is their agenda? Can you say a little bit more about that?
Look, as I said previously, so there is no reason not to be open about politicians who are already openly obstructing the Macedonian future to the European Union. I'm primarily talking about VMRO Defamane and its smaller ally, Levica. It's a far-right political party with a fake name, calling themselves left, which is another Macedonian specialty in the politics. So VMRO, or at least its leadership, has been utterly anti-Western for decades now. And we can freely say that they managed to capture the state at the time being, and the society as well. And they managed to stand on top of the political, business, media, societal, as well as criminal structures for quite some time in the country. So there's simply a tool, often a part of the long-standing Russian influence and the Russian propaganda in the country. So we're not talking about conservative structures here, like those that you in the Western developed democracies know. When you say democracy, that's right wing and so on. But we're talking about structures that are sowing hate and ultra-nationalism here. They're in favor of extermination of or total domination over ethnic groups or ethnic communities in the country. Even some of them or often preaching territorial expansion, making a greater Macedonia, just like the Albanians do about the greater Albania. But here we are talking about real serious big political forces that in one or another way preach this kind of ideas. They're also just let me illustrate the political parties that spread homophobia, submission of women, and promote things such as Aryan roots, that they have Aryan roots, that they have that they need a pure nation, and other pretty wild ideas. And you know, I'm not, and these are not jokes actually. Although somebody might think I'm talking about some political sitcom. It's not true. It's quite a strategy. So
very alarming.
Ultra-nationalists and ultra-corrupted structures in the country happen to have the same agenda as Russia's Putin. So they're against democracy, human rights, and rule of law. European and green values are a threat to their nationalist, corrupt, and quite often violent and criminal strategies and activities. So it's as simple as that. We are talking about Putin's administration that needs these kind of positions, that needs this kind of structures, and therefore they're posing a constant threat towards the Atlantic path of North Macedonia. So Putin is providing these structures and political parties with political support, statements, and so on. They're backing them wherever possible and whenever possible in the international on the international scene. And he's also providing them with the know-how, how to defend these positions. Of course, we are not an isolated example. We live in societies in which democracy is threatened on daily basis by the democratic instruments themselves, more precisely by a sophisticated and persistent abuse of democratic instruments.
This would lead me to my next question.
Look at Europe, of course.
And the role and the influence of Russia, you were mentioning this. We saw during the recent elections in Montenegro right now a growing influence of Russia, affecting also the outcome of the voting. So how relevant is the influence from Moscow in North Macedonia when it comes to politics on a daily basis so far?
Fortunately for us, the relevance of the Russian intrusion in the Macedonian politics is not decisive, or not anymore, though we must not underestimate the influence, the challenge posed by these activities, especially if we compare it to Montenegro. The case of Montenegro should be a warning signal to all actors concerned with the issues of human rights and democracy, and of course security and safety. It is a clear example that a NATO membership is not a guarantee for a country, for a member country of NATO, that it is safe from getting torn apart from within, using democratic instruments such as elections as well, as I mentioned also before.
Yeah, pro-European actors are presented in the public discourse. You mentioned it as traitors to the so-called, North Macedonian agenda, whatever that is. You got also serious threats recently, not for the first time, by the way. So tell us more about that. How dangerous is the work for liberal, critical actors and stakeholders lobbying for a pro-European path right now in North Macedonia?
Well, it's a tough question, I mean, we have all very busy agendas. We're very active people here at Civil, and also many other NGOs that work in Macedonia, in North Macedonia. Just to make a few examples, I'll take a couple of personal examples.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for this question. It's a great opportunity to express our concerns. The latest example comes from yesterday evening. For instance, there is this at the Macedonian org web page that published a so-called dossier on me, quite a wild one and totally hollow at the same time. Under the photo of me, they wrote Xhabir terrorist. Xhabir is an offensive expression for Albanian. The same article is providing a possibility to the visitors to upload videos and photos of me, now also about other traitors. And there is an article, there is a poll with the question, do you agree that this person has committed a crime against the Macedonian people? Me being a criminal against the Macedonian people. Also, the article about me starts with the paragraph in which the anonymous author addresses me with the words, "The time to pay for your crimes is coming. You will not escape the people's retribution, and the history will remember you as a worthless terrorist and servant." So I'm talking about an official internet portal, and if we continue, then we can really list a real long list of the internet media that are official, that have budgets and impressums and all sorts of budgets that are really huge, and teams that are working, and they're sowing hate and propaganda, dark propaganda. So another well-known, I'll just make one more example. A well-known hater in the Macedonian public is Milan Konedelkovski, for instance. He's a so-called journalist who is very close friend of Gruevski and several people of this group. He's the former prime minister, and he has a production, several Facebook pages, an internet portal. On this internet portal, my ID card with personal data and address of living was publicized several times. And what we can say, it's a regular call for execution, mine of other activists, human rights activists, shutting down our organization, expelling all Americans or all Germans or all Westerners from the country. And we're talking about a huge amount of sordidly vulgar and hateful messages and articles that are disseminated through the internet portals and also on some TV stations, including TV Alpha, which is broadcasting nationally, also cable. We're talking about the internet portals that you can easily find. They're big, they're rich. Republika, Courier, Netpress, Leader, Infomax, countless others. And by telling you this, you may imagine, I mean, we're talking about official media landscape. And then when we come to the social the networks, then it's enormous. Then it's unimaginably huge amount of hate. And
yeah, it sounds really alarming. Why are the institutions
alarming? Because
why are they alarming? Why are the institutions
alarming? Because
why are
calling
worrying,
for somebody's murder, assassination every day, you know, someday that might really happen.
Why are the institutions why are they not reacting on that?
Yeah, well, that's another difficult, maybe even more difficult question. You know, for years we okay, in the previous regime, the previous government didn't do anything against it, because actually they were financing it, and there are the obvious, clear evidence for this. But when we speak about this time, it is kind of odd, to put it the mildest way, that the institutions are actually not reacting. The impunity is evident. Impunity for hate speech, impunity for spreading, which is a criminal act, spreading national, ethnic, racial, and religious hate. And of course, there are several acts of hate crimes that have been just not treated by the law, not treated by the.
What would be your advice, Xhabir, at the end? What should the international community, especially the EU, do to support pro-European stakeholders like you, civil society actors, to boost their agenda of reforms and democratization without compromises? What would be your advice?
I think that we should realize that we are in a sort of a war. We have to realize, to admit the fact that we are in the midst of a hybrid war, and it's an international struggle between criminal, backwarded ideologies and criminal structures that want to take power internationally. And then we have to engage upon this idea, of course. What the European Union should do, or the international community in general could do to help us, is to advise our institutions to really go deep and conduct reforms without any compromises. And we're talking about the need to really root the regime, the criminal regime, out, because maybe officially the regime is not in power, but what we see from one to another day, we just had another example like that from a judge who very successfully blocked the special public prosecutor work. He is now again quite active, so we need to work with the judiciary as institutions, as a country, and also with the Ministry of Interior, because they have the tools to investigate and to prevent security challenges to the country. Because it's not only about us being put in plastic bags as activists or traitors, as they call us. It's also about the whole country and about the European future of the country. And of course, what the European Union could do is to follow your example as Heinrich-Böll-Stiftung, and support the true and committed activists, support them in what they do, and of course provide the know-how, provide some technical support, and of course provide some support to the projects that we're conducting, implementing throughout the country. And solidarity. Solidarity is the most important for us. A kind word of solidarity enables us to know, to be aware that there is someone thinking of us. That would be my plea to the international community, to stand in solidarity with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Xhabir, for this enlightening talk. It's evident that civil actors like you need a better protection. This is also a strong appeal towards the European Union, as we discussed, to react. The discussed developments are alarming, especially since they could really undermine the EU integration path of North Macedonia, and that in turn would bring negative effects also to the political landscape of the other Western Balkan countries, hampering urgently needed reform processes. So that's it for today. This was Xhabir Deralla from the organization Civil in Skopje. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, see you next time. Thank you.
See you.